here at your Sydney Swans. Cheers, cheer the red and the white, honour the name by day and by night.
Welcome back to A Bevy of Bloods, a fan podcast of the Sydney Swans Football Club.
So to all you loyal Swans out there, you just can't get enough of the red and the white.
Fluff up your tail feathers and settle in for a potentially biased yarn about all things to do with our beloved Bloods.
While our loyal Swans are marching onwards to victory.
G'day there, Signets and Swanlings. Welcome back to A Bevy of Bloods. You're joined, as always, by the boys from Sydney. I am Chris, and again, we have Swans superfan Sam.
That's right, you lucky loyal Swans fans. In this review episode, we're going to be discussing the worst first quarter of the year and the amazing comeback against the Cats. And remember, if you like what you hear, please give us a follow. All right, let's kick things off with a quick game recap.
Right, last Sunday, in front of almost 45,000 fans at the SCG, home of the Swannies, our Sydney Swans defeated the Geelong Cats by 30 points with a final score of 16-16, 112 to 12-10, 82. Look, Swan superfan Sam, I can hear your voice. The listeners can hear your voice. It must have been some kind of celebration. It must have been loud in that SCG.
It was, and you know what? I think most of the damage was done in 5 minutes in the second quarter. That was some of the most pure football you could ever see.
They were sharp. I was watching it at home. I had Nan and my mum's birthday party on the Sunday, so there was no way I could get out of that. If I had one of them, maybe I would have swung it, but two of them, there's no brownie points in the world that let me get out of that one. So I was at home at mum and dad's place watching that one, just livid that I couldn't go. But then watching that first quarter and the stress that I was feeling, I don't know how you guys were dealing it in your seats. How was the crowd? What were they feeling like? How was the emotion drain?
Look, it was such a strange game. The first quarter, we were just getting pumped, but I didn't feel like we were playing that badly. But we were fumbling badly. We had the fumbles, and the Cats were playing this sort of kamikaze style of football, and they were just getting it forward. And it was just working. It was coming off, The pressure just didn't matter because the pressure we were putting on, because they would just slap it forward or just get the handball, just break the tackle. They just kept the ball going forward. But we weren't really playing that badly either. We also, had a few posters and, a bit of unlucky, situations. They were probably the better team in saying that, but we weren't that bad. But it was looking like I was getting, I internalized this, Harps. I was getting flashbacks of the 2022 grand final.
Oh, jeez. Yep.
In that first quarter going, oh no.
Yeah. As we were setting up for the game, I was telling my beautiful fiance Danny how she was like, oh, how are you going to feel about the game? And I was immediately thinking to myself, I'm like, I just really want this young team that was shown up a couple of years back to just absolutely give it to the Cats at home. And I was watching that first quarter and I was feeling similar flashbacks. So I was just like, jeez, let's not go through this again. But my God, they clawed it back. That second quarter and the momentum shift that happened so quickly was phenomenal. And they still had plenty of work to go. We didn't hit the lead until 2.5 minutes left to go in the third quarter. It was a long gain back to get us level again, but you could just really tell from that second quarter onwards that we just had to level the game, and it just seemed that we had the momentum for a long period of time there.
Well, yeah, I think in that second quarter, I mean, we were playing really well and just kept hitting the post or getting behinds or just not being able to sort of be efficient in transition, and getting the ball inside 50, but we were playing well. And once Amadi kicked that goal, shout out to Logan McDonald for his play in that goal too. He had 3 touches and just fucking broke the lines and got through. he just did it. Like, he was like, I need to get this done. And that's where the first goal came from, was Logan's 3 touches. So big shout out to him. But from there, the noise from that first goal was just like, it was lifting. But yeah, I think that was, I when I watched the highlights, that was the 8-minute mark. We kicked, I think our last goal was the 3-minute mark.
Right, yeah.
My memory is, if Heaney kicked that last goal of the half, when he kicked 2 in a row, that was still within 3 minutes. So that our burst of 5 goals came in 5 minutes, which is
that special run with Warner driving that, it felt like as well. Like, you could feel the momentum moving, and then Warner just seemed to take the game on again, as he seems to have been doing for some time now, and this whole season has been at his possession. And in particular, last 5 weeks have just looked amazing by him. What are you going to say about him? Like, your boy Chatty just continuing to just turn games.
Look, he's such a fantastic player. I mean, in that second quarter, you're not wrong. He had 10 touches, a goal. What a goal it was as well. You know, he had 70% disposal efficiency, so decent. But I think in that quarter he had two score involvements, 328 meters gained. So just getting the ball forward, that is massive for a quarter. 4 inside 50s. So yeah, and
What
I
a
think
game.
also he sort of set up that first goal for Heaney, where he missed it, and it just shows how potent our midfielders are.
Yeah.
It's just wild. But look, yeah, again, another amazing game from Chad, and just the whole team, Chris, the whole team, like, they're just awesome.
Whole team did everything right. It really was a whole team effort. Let's look at Rowie. I felt Rowie had a great game. Another one of those midfielders that are just being insanely consistent, doing the job that they're meant to do. And I felt Rowie, 10 tackles, another big game from him, 7 clearances, and he's really starting to mold really well with Grundy. I don't know whether it's because they're noticing that they're putting such a clamp on, say, Heaney and Warner, and noticing that Rowie's got a bit more room or a more favourable matchup. And so he's being able to get a bit more of the ball. But I'm finding Rowie's just connecting really well with Grundy. And is this because of they're trying to do that in order to give the other guys a bit of room? Is it a necessity, or is it just a natural thing that's happening? Either way, I'm really happy to say that we've got some time to work with here to work out what it is. But it's something that I've noticed the last couple of weeks, and it was particularly special this week, where every time he dropped it, Rowie was on fire, and he had just a great game. Mate, who did you see on your side that deserves a big shout out as well?
Well, look, I'm going to go for people that aren't in the 3-2-1, obviously.
Cool.
Rowie would definitely be on my list. Papley, great second half. Fantastic second half. Joel Amadi, fantastic, probably I'd say first half, but, game in general. I think it was one of his best games. He may not have kicked the most goals, but he was our number one forward this week.
I feel the same way. It wasn't just his ability to kick the goal. I mean, great that he kicked the 3 and hit the 1 poster. But there was just that pressure that he was putting on. He's crashing packs, putting hands on balls.
Yeah.
Like, he just was really a special forward this week. Like, really showed it up. And you mentioned it earlier. I think Logan, although didn't get any goals for the effort, he was matched up, but he was putting really good kicks and field kicks in, like the one that he put in front of
in Chad.
Warner.
Yeah.
The one that he kicked over to Amadi, I think he put 2 in there. So yeah, I mean, both of those guys are playing really well.
Yeah, look, but I think so those two, I think, and in fairness, I think, Amadi probably had a more consistent game over the 4 quarters. If he didn't get that poster, if he converted the snap in the first quarter, who's to say he doesn't have 4 as well? Whereas Papley came good late, and Papley should have had 5 as well, or 6. Like, I can't believe he handed that one off to Juzzy when he just kicked 2 from that exact spot. It was perplexing, but he was awesome. I thought Taylor Adams had his best game for the Swans. Nothing against him at all, but I thought that I struggled to see why he's in the team instead of Luke Parker. But this week he did it justice. Not that he has been bad. Let me preface it with that. I don't think he's had necessarily any really bad games. I just don't think he was setting the world on fire. But I think he had his best game in my opinion for the Swans. I think Juzzy was great. Ollie was great. Like the key backs really outside of maybe the first quarter, and Cameron maybe got in back in a bit late. But I can't fault a single player. I think the whole team played really well.
Yeah, everyone playing their key roles, of course. I think going back to Juzzy and Ollie, I was rewatching the game earlier today, and I was like, Ollie was fantastic, playing everywhere, and then Juzzy came up and just doing what Juzzy does, probably one of the more underrated players of our group, and I think that's kind of saying something because we are coming first and people are paying attention to all the players. But I still feel that Juzzy is kind of under the radar considering how effective he is as a wingman and how he can play a bit of everything. And basically what we got, I think we've got him on like a 5-year contract or something as well. He signed a pretty long contract last year at some point. So yeah, we should be really happy with the way with some of these, in quotation marks, B tier players. They are superb. They're really, really good. And we've named a few of them already. We've named your Rowie, your Juzzy, your Amadis. These are the guys that aren't necessarily listed as like our elite players on, in the AFL media, but they're all doing incredible numbers. And as you said there, everyone's playing their role so good, so good.
For sure. Look, just a great team. I want to touch on JJ as well. I was pretty critical of him this game. I think that Stewart for me was off his leash. The end he only had the 20 touches, so he had the last quarter. I'm not sure if he clamped down, but he only had the 2 touches in the last quarter. So that was definitely a turnaround. Yeah. But I'm not sure if that was Juzzy's work or just the way Geelong were playing or the way we controlled it or what. But up until that point, he was really on fire. In saying that, though, JJ hit the post with one of his shots at least, if not 2. Was it 1 or 2? I think it's just one. One shot hit the post. And then kicked a goal. But he also had 8 score involvements and 2 direct goal assists within that. So from 15 touches. So his game in attack was very good. So I'm being critical of his defensive side for 3 quarters, but his attack, his influence on the attack was very good. So, I can't, even if I wanted to criticize someone, they're still showing me up.
Yeah. Look, on JJ's work on Stewart, like I was having a look, I'm like, he didn't, on the numbers base, if you have a look at the figures, you don't really see that much of an impact compared to some other players where, like Bailey Dale, he just basically starts shutting down guys, right? Until Langdon gets loose and he goes back again. But I think what you notice with Stewart is it didn't really have that impactful of a game compared to, just watch the last 3 games with Geelong, like where he is just this key guy, he's just doubling up on every other matchup. He's getting way too many intercepts. I just didn't feel that he had that as impactful as a game, but a pretty hard guy to match up on, to be honest with you. And being swung up in the forward line to play the defensive tagger role. I mean, JJ is just doing good stuff. And as you said, if he doesn't necessarily lock down the guy, he's getting his own ball and he's making an impact, which is a comment you had a couple of weeks ago as well, right? We were talking about the same thing, and the whole point was even if he doesn't necessarily, shut down a player, he'll do a great job anyway. So we're really happy to have him. Another one of those beer tier players that we're so happy to have, and doing huge work. There's a few notable stats, mate. Like, we were pretty well. We had the level of the contest. We had plenty of disposals. We had 60 plus disposals, but across the board, that was both kicks and handballs, and plus just about plus 20 in contested possessions. That was 25 more than our season average in total. what was the Cats brought on tons and tons of pressure. Tons and tons of pressure, and they were really trying to get us to fumble. I just felt the Cats just could not go with us for as long as they needed to keep that pressure up. That was what I really saw about the game. I saw a team with a good plan, but just not able to execute it as consistently as our team was for that time.
Yeah, look, I think it's also in the style of play that was working against us too. Is just them getting the ball forward. Like it was, a bit scary. It was like, wow, this is really working. So they did keep the pressure up and they kept moving it forward. It's sort of like Carlton as well. That first quarter against Carlton, it's very similar to that one. But yeah, at the end of the day, I think as well, it's also not necessarily down to another team. The way we're playing, like we are also just bringing teams not down to necessarily our level, because our level's very high. We're bringing their level down if they're playing better than us for a period, because we put that pressure on and we are playing just relentless footy that you just can't keep us down. The Bulldogs did a great job against us, but we still had that third quarter that won us the game. So it is an element of pressure. It's an element of ball movement. It's an element of field position. In a sense, I feel like the Dogs did really well with controlling field position. That's why I mentioned that, but from memory, that is. I think the Cats they did play a good game, but at the end of the day, they still kicked half of their goals in the first quarter. /start of second.
Yeah.
Or maybe not start, actually. It took a while, I think, for them to kick that goal. It was a bit of an arm wrestle at the start of the second half. But still, even, a good portion of their goals came
in that first quarter.
In the first quarter, or before we kicked a goal.
Yeah. That's it. I think one thing that they did note, I think it was Heaney and Errol both said, which we'll talk about their game in just a second. But they mentioned that the way that the team responds when everything's kind of seemingly going against them. So like when the game is not going away, the momentum's not all theirs. They said there was no panic. There was just like, cool, just play your game. We drive this game, listen to the coaches, work it through. And they just have total confidence within each other that they're going to start pulling this back. So kind of like, it seems like when we get the momentum, we seem to carry the momentum for longer periods of time throughout a game compared to the opposition, whereas they get their momentum going, we'll kind of claw that back within a certain amount of time. Like nowhere near as much time as we can carry that momentum with us. And I feel that's also just the boys having each other's backs. And it goes to like these long contracts that we're giving these really young kids, as Zane keeps saying, watch us keep all these young kids in the whole competition being like flabbergasted at how we did it. But they do generally believe in each other, it feels like. And it's kind of really nice. It's warm. It's a bit wholesome, isn't it? But it's a bit wholesome, but we have a solid team that's really being able to drag momentum back on and keep it for a long time.
Yeah, look, one thing as well to touch on the stats, we were down in all those stats in the first quarter. So that's 3 quarters of work that got us so far ahead there. I wish on the AFL app you could break that down. But yeah, look, I think that they do, maybe it's from the grand final and they've learnt from that, or maybe just last year or just time playing together, but they just don't put their head in the sand and give up. Like they're just like, all right, well, let's battle through this. And they just do a great job of it. And it's just a whole team thing. It's of course our mids are just absolutely just dominating. Like our midfield is our best point. But in saying that, the whole team just plays the role as well.
Yeah. Speaking of which, we named 2 guys there. We've got some our 3-2-1 is not too much surprise given that we haven't spoken about them quite as yet. So Errol, he's got the 3 points, mate. 37 disposals, 25 of them being kicks, using that absolute weapon that he has. We know how much we love him using it. 700 plus meters gained, a goal and 5 tackles. Like ball distribution, pressure on, defensive effort, offensive mindset, sharing the ball around when he needs to. helping out, heading down wing when he sees everything's being held up forward. Errol continually just having these games where you just go, wow. Like, I know people bang on about Nick Dacos being the best in the competition, but Errol's not far behind, and there's a good argument to say that he's well up there too, right?
Well, I don't think Chad or Heaney are far behind either. Then, so
Yes, I know. Like, it's such a Collingwood talking point, isn't it? Anyway,
but I mean, it's just that just shows our midfield depth. But
yeah,
Errol was awesome. Like, I mean, he really had about 10 more touches than anyone else in the game, in a game that wasn't a really high possession. It wasn't a low possession game, but usually you've got some people that might, more that might be over 25, or it might be over 30, whatever. I think, but he had 37. It's just his kicking is amazing. His work rate is amazing. Disposal efficiency is amazing. And like what's not in there as well is 15 score involvements, 3 goal assists. So from those 37, that's roughly 40%, I'd say, of his touches turn to. Am I wrong? I could be wrong there. Let's check. No. Oh wow, good maths. 40.5% of his touches, turn into a score, and but it's also just his ability to be, on the back line, the last line of defense, and marking a ball just shows his work ethic on the wing, and just him playing that wing role perfectly. That goal at the end too, there was so much celebration you could hardly hear Errol in the background either.
it was loud. That seemed loud. Did you know that the Swans didn't even give him that as the goal of the week?
What was goal of the week?
I think it was the one that Chatty got on the run with Logan putting in front of him, which was a great goal. Don't get me wrong, hard work and hard effort by everyone, but the Errol one was just pure brilliance.
Well, I think you could have some of Papley's goals. I think Papley, I'm surprised Papley didn't get goal of the week, to be honest with you.
Yeah, the old 1-2, I think, with
Chad's was a big relief when he got that goal.
Yeah.
So that one, and I mean, he's Chad. So, but that goal was a massive. Okay, maybe we can start to relax a little bit here. We've hopefully won the game now. Errol's came after that, so there wasn't as much sentiment, in my opinion, as much as it was an amazing one-step finish from outside 50, just outside.
That's nuts, eh? Like, he's got that much power in his kick. But the guy's like 5'10". How is he getting that much power on him?
But I mean, some of Papley's goals were fantastic as well. So it's hard to say. I feel like if Papley didn't pass that one off to Juzzy, the play starting from Errol, going to Chad, moving up to Papley, that play transitionally was fantastic. So there was such good goals. But anyway, look, we'll move on to 2 points. So we have the big man Brodie Grundy in at 2 points. So he had 24 disposals, which 21 were contested. Nuts. Wild. He had then 11 score involvements, which is a career high, up from 7. And really, he just kind of smashed Reece Stanley in the game. I mean, he was just dominating. He had 34 hit-outs to 20. And just, I guess, his physical presence, in a sense. He only laid 2 tackles, but he just is just there. Like, you just see him as a physical presence, just a big guy throwing his body weight around. So yeah, another great game from Grundy, and good on him for knocking out the midfielders from this one, because it's it's kind of unbelievable that Chad's not in this 3, but it makes sense as well because he just had such a good game.
It's pretty nuts. Like, it's these big men, right? They have to do a lot of work, and when they don't do it right, you can tell. And when they do it really well, like they just game changers. I feel that he was the most consistent player across all 4 would be probably Grundy. It just doing everything, the marks and in time, and the work around the ball. Like, it's his aggressiveness to get down dirty and start putting pressure down, and making these tackles and getting his hands on the ball when it's hit the ground. Like, he's just just nasty. And then we just literally throwing Stanley around like it was Stanley's first game is just hilarious. So yeah, can't get enough of the big man. As I said, as he's connecting with these midfielders, hopefully we get even more out of him, which is something to be said because so far he's been absolutely superb for us, absolutely superb for this year. All right, that leaves 1 point for, of course, the man we haven't spoken about quite yet. It's Heaney. 26 disposals, 12 of them contested, 5 clearances, 5 tackles, 2 contested marks, 2 goals to go with it. 2 of those goals were back-to-back bang goals that really started to change that momentum that was kind of turning, that solidified our strength going forward. He was another great game. I mean, he is only this, I think, second-rated player of the competition, just behind the Bont now. He's been carrying number 1 for some time. But he has been just excellent every week and hasn't slowed down. So another enormous effort by Heaney. You have to imagine that he's winning in the Brownlow still, and he's got plenty ahead of him. So yeah, I have noticed, mate. I don't know if you've noticed, but he's doing a few more ads lately. He's doing Colgate Smile ads. Have you paid attention to Heaney's advertising and career?
Mate, my TV watching ability this year is useless. I'm hardly in Sydney, and I don't have free to air on the TV. Oh, that could probably do if you stream it through whatever, but no, frankly, no, I haven't noticed that at all. Sorry.
I pay for YouTube Premium, so I don't get those stupid ads. But my partner doesn't, and we're watching something on her thing, and it comes up. There's an ad where Heaney's like running around, and he's behind Petrarca, and I'm like, oh, this is going to be one about Petrarca, and Heaney takes a specky off the back of Petrarca, smiles a bit, and he's selling Colgate Smiling like a toothpaste or something like that. So he must be getting paid the good stuff, or we're not paying him enough. One of the two.
Good on him. Well, maybe he's the reason we can, sign up players. I've heard a lot of rumors that Logan could be the next one, the next one to sign on.
Yeah, so I have heard that.
Heaney's external advertising is actually helping us keep together the core squad.
So you reckon Heaney's decided to take a lesser contract, take in some more of that money through advertising, which I'm not sure whether it comes through a cap or so, who knows, and in order for us to make some more of that salary cap room. Is this a conspiracy theory?
Oh, this is completely just off the top of my head, but I mean, I think it would be separate to the salary cap. I'm actually quite confident of that. So yeah, maybe so, but at the same time, I think Heaney would still be on some pretty good coin.
Yeah, he'd be doing all right. I don't think he's needed for too much, that boy. Yeah, so massive. So 3-2-1, Errol, Grundy, Heaney in our Bob medal, which is our equivalent of the Bob Skilton.
Honourable mention to Chad, for God's sake, as well.
With another honourable mention to Chad, and probably, and then I'd throw Rowie as number 5 or so. But
then you could chuck in a Marty and Papley.
Papley.
Juzzy, Ollie. The list goes on.
We're just, there's not enough points.
Not enough points.
Next year, we did say we can do whatever we want with these rules, right? We don't have to stick to this 3-2-1 rule. This is our medal. We do what we want. But
we might have to get the bevy together and discuss this.
Yeah, discuss some loopholes that we can put together. All right, mate. Well, look, the season goes on. Of course, it was a big win at home. We've got a few games ahead of us. The Swans are coming in first now, 2 games ahead of Carlton, who beat Essendon. To claim that second place. Essendon still baffled as to why they're there, but they are there, so whatever. The next 4 games ahead, mate, we've got Crows away, GWS away, Freo at home, and then the Saints away. So we've got a few teams there that, let's have a look. Crows, GWS, Freo, and Saints. All of them arguably could be, and they're in that second half of the ladder. But they're all arguably should be doing something. We're expected to do something. But they're all really hot and cold. Judo West gone quite cold recently. How do you see the next few games going together? And what do we need to see out of the team over the next 4 games to kind of get a good feel of where we're up to?
Well, look, Crows, I feel, is a bit of a danger game. And the reason for that, 1, it's away, but 2, they have revenge to get against us. We stole a final spot,
Yeah.
And like, I feel like they are going to come out and just like going to be pumped about that, especially because they're not doing very well at the moment. You know, their performance last week was garbage.
Sad.
You know, and the week before that, they've got two games that could have got them back into contention, especially with how close this season is. And they've dropped both of them, and they're sitting on 18 points rather than what they'd be 26, you know, in 11th.
In contest for the
You know,
top eight.
I mean,
Yeah, for sure.
Hawthorn have been out of this world, but Richmond, it's like us losing to them. It's unforgivable. So, you know, especially without Dusty as well, you know, or with the injuries they have in general. So I think that there's a bit of a danger game there. To be honest with you, and no, this is not. I'm a bit worried about us not dropping a game. In a sense, don't get me wrong. I hate us losing more than the next person or more than anyone really. But just thinking about this from a logical point, I don't want us to peak too early, and you're going to learn more from a loss. So there's some of the I don't want to lose to the Giants, that's for sure. And I wouldn't mind beating Freo at home. They beat us at home last year as well, and the Saints as well. They beat us at home last year. I wouldn't mind dropping a game to the Crows. I'm going over there. If we lose that one, I'm not going to be unhappy, just because I don't think it's a bad thing. No, okay, I want us to win every game, of course, but I'm a bit worried that we're peaking too early. I don't want us to get too late in the season and start dropping games there. Do you get what I'm saying?
Yeah. So I think we spoke about this. We honestly speak about this relatively regularly every year. I feel when we're on a really hot run, we're talking about a tactical loss here.
No, it's not a lie. You don't want to go in wanting to lose a game.
No. But like you're kind of saying, like,
If there was a time where I would want it to come, if we go undefeated every year for the rest of my life, I'll be a very happy man. But in saying that, if there's a time that it would be, you know, more acceptable for us to lose a game, it would be in the next 4 weeks. Because we're going to have, you know, then enough time, you know, probably 6 rounds or something to go on a good streak and rectify it, you know, and that streak could be a bit longer, you know, and it could be against, you know, some tougher teams to be, you know, fair. Because I think right now, as you said, this is probably not our toughest group of games that we've got coming up. I think it will get a lot harder late in the season. And I'd prefer to drop one now to the struggling Crows than I would against, you know, Collingwood or Essendon or, you know, like those teams that
are top, fighting for that top 6 spot that are going to be really.
Exactly. Port Adelaide, I'd love to beat them. We never beat them. So, you know, and yeah, Essendon, Port, Collingwood, Freo, Giants, you know, Bulldogs. I don't want to lose a game really, but I'd say this one against Adelaide, I wouldn't mind dropping it because I think we owe them one.
And yeah, so you're referring to, of course, last year. Was it second last game of the season, like regular season?
Was it second or third last?
I don't remember, second or third. Yeah, but then Ben Keys kicks the ball. Umpire calls it hitting the post. Was it? Wasn't it? We'll never know. And we're happy not to know.
It was second last.
It was second last. Okay, so yeah, quarter behind. We go on, play the game. We end up winning that game. And between you and me, mate, I think it was a goal. So it is what it is. So we're referring to that when you say, look, we probably owe them a game. You reckon? I don't think this game means as much to them as any other game. Although they'll probably be walking in there like it's all what they got to lose, right? They need to start winning games. They need to start winning at home. They need to win games full stop. Like, they have not been grand. So yeah, I kind of see what you're saying at that point.
Yeah, but look, I mean, in saying that, I don't think there's really an easy game in this competition. So
every team is frustratingly competent in any one given day.
Exactly.
We need to look at Richmond as the example there. All right, mate. Look, one of the things that I noticed from the game as we start wrapping up here was, do we know what constitutes a tackle now? Because although the Umpiring Association has released some examples of what is a tackle and what's not a tackle, even in those examples, I'm just like, I still don't understand what you're talking about. And in the game on the weekend, starting off with Amadi's tackle and then Logan's tackle and then a bunch of other stuff during the day, I genuinely have no idea what a tackle looks like anymore. How do you feel?
Oh, mate, the first quarter, I was losing it. That could be part of the voice loss too. There was just some calls that were going Geelong's way that weren't going ours for exactly the same thing.
Hmm.
It was very, very, very frustrating. I wonder how many other sports leagues in the world change their rules mid-season, or not rules, but interpretations of rules. And I guess that's the issue with our game. Unfortunately, is that there is nothing that's black and white a lot of the time. It's all grey. Um, so it is a tricky one for the umpires, but I wish they were full-time employees and they could literally dedicate their working time
I mean,
to being umpires
I
because
think
yeah.
it's a hard game to umpire. There is absolutely no doubt about that. And umpiring shouldn't be hammered every single time. But I don't get that frustrated about the umpires themselves. I get frustrated at just a couple of coaches say something on the weekend and then they just change the interpretation and just throw the whole league into disarray for the next few weeks. Like that's literally what's happened here. And it seems to happen once a year where like Dimmer and some other coach who have tenure and have the word of the AFL and they're all buddied up with the guys at the top, say a couple of words, and then all of a sudden we just change the rule. It used to be Clarkson before that. And they were just like, oh, we're going to change this rule because they complained about it. It's like, bugger them. Like, change the rules because the rules need to be changed. Don't change it because some coach said something. Like, I just don't get why this is just a weird approach to the game. And they don't listen to the fans; they listen to the coaches, and the coaches have a very different opinion of what things need to look like compared to the fans, and they're not necessarily aligned because, there's a lot more fans, a lot more different clubs than just a couple of coaches. So, it does my head in. So I still don't know. I don't think anyone know for some time. Mate, one last thing, if you don't mind. I saw a video of Siggy, our beloved Sydney Swans mascot, running onto the field way too early, like minutes before the game on, and had to get called in by one of his handlers. Did you have a see of that? Because I think
I didn't see it at the time, to be honest with you. I have seen videos of it since. Honestly, like I know that's hilarious, but talking seriously, imagine if they said there's a 19th person on the field.
too many men on the field. Yeah.
And or some sort of weird rule, and they stripped all our points because that is a rule in the rule book. If a captain calls for a head count and there's 19 players on the field, and harps, this is why we've never won a game until the siren's over, specifically for harps. Like I don't like it. I really don't like it. I think that's just not good enough. Like, but it's
Siggy,
pretty funny.
Pull your head in, Siggy.
Yeah, pull your head in, mate. Like the team are doing so well. Just don't do anything to I guess just potentially ruin anything. But
I have noticed, mate.
4 fines,
I have noticed that Siggy is way looser this game than other games. So I don't know whether it's a long weekend and our regular Siggy was away and we had a replacement Siggy for the night. But I can tell you this much. He was loose. I saw some dancing. I saw some things on going around. So if anyone out there has knowledge about who the real Siggy is and whether there was a replacement for this week, as my theory is trying to hold up,
please
message me because I really, really actively want to know this. I really want to know.
You missed a massive Eminem reference that I just had to get in there before you finished that sentence.
Oh, what was it? Go.
You're like, if anyone knows who the real Siggy is, like, will the real Slim Shady please stand up? Anyway, look, let's get back to Chris about the the Siggy. Maybe we can get Siggy on the potty.
Oh, Siggy on the potty would be hilarious. The guy doesn't speak. It might be entertaining. And we could just like, hey, Siggy, you don't want to respond to his question? Why not? And then he just goes silent for a while. Like, oh, your silence says more than your words would ever say. I was almost once the hawk for the Illawarra Hawks NBL team because my friend was one of the head entertainment people. And then I went and watched the game, and my mate, another friend of ours, did it for a night. And he said it was the hottest, worst thing that he's ever done his entire life. He felt he was about to faint a couple of times. So I never took on that job. So whoever is doing Siggy all the time, we appreciate you. And whoever's the loosest Siggy in the world, it kind of felt like it was Juzzy in the Siggy suit. We appreciate you as well, mate. So all the best to Siggy.
Yeah.
All right. That does bring us to the end of the episode. It's gone a little longer, but we thank you so much for listening into the end. If you can, give us a like, a follow, and all the fun things. We've got some really cool stuff going ahead of us. You'll see going around on socials. But yeah, keep an eye out on all the social stuff.
Yeah, look, there will be some very, very cool additions coming up, which I saw announced on Facebook. Well, at least one of them, Joel Amati coming on. So that will be good. And then we'll also have the weekly team announcements back, given that there's no bye. And then obviously what's on game day as well, such as the halftime report.
That's it, which Super Sam, Swans fan Sam, takes care of, mate. You're going to be up there in Adelaide, right?
Well, I'll be at every game. So
good boy, 100%. Sam, always putting in the hard yards. Look, we look forward to seeing you. But until next time, Sam will see you at Adelaide Oval. Make sure to reach out to us if you want to catch up with Super Swans fan Sam. But until then, up the Bloods.
Up the Bloods.
And can't you, Swanee?